Okay, Assalamu alaikum students. Let's get started with May June 2024 paper 2 variant 2 IGCSE physics 45 minutes paper. This is an MCQ paper, so let's start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. A student wishes to, let me zoom in here. Yeah. A student wishes to measure accurately the volume of approximately 40 cm cube of water. She has two measuring cylinders. Okay, she has two measuring cylinders. A larger one can hold 100 cm cube and a smaller one that can hold 50 cm cube. The water forms a meniscus where it touches the glass. ठीक है, water form a meniscus where it touches the glass. Which cylinder and which water level does the student use to ensure an accurate result? ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, जब भी आपके पास दो इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स होंगे, लार्जर वन एंड द स्मॉलर वन, आपने एक्यूरेसी के लिए हमेशा स्मॉलर इंस्ट्रूमेंट लेना है. स्मॉलर इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स ऑलवेज गिव यू अ ग्रेटर एक्यूरेसी. सो ऑप्शन ए एंड बी cancel out. Secondly, whenever you are reading a measuring cylinder, you will read it from the bottom of the meniscus. C is your answer. Let's further move ahead. The motion of an object is represented by the speed time graph shown. Okay, so this is the speed time graph. Which quantity is equal to the area under the graph? Always remember, area under the graph of a speed time graph is distance traveled. Area under the speed time graph is distance traveled. Always remember that. C is your answer. An astronaut has a mass of 80 kg, is standing on a planet with gravitational field strength 3.8. What is the weight of the astronaut on this planet? W is equals to mg. बच्चे मास क्या है 80, ग्रेविटेशन फील्ड स्ट्रेंथ क्या है 3.8. कैन यू कैलकुलेट द वेट? यस, 80 इंटू 3.8, वेट क्या आ रहा है 304 Newton. B is your answer. Perfect. A sealed container of volume 2000 cm cube contains air at high pressure. The container is placed on a top pan balance. The balance reading is 200 grams. Perfect. All the air is removed by a vacuum pump and the balance reading changes to 196 grams. बेटा जब आपके पास लेट से कंटेनर प्लस एयर थी तो आपका मास क्या था? व्हाट वाज द मास ऑफ द कंटेनर प्लस एयर? 200 ग्राम. व्हाट इज द मास ऑफ द कंटेनर ओनली? 196 ग्राम. कैन यू कैलकुलेट द मास ऑफ द एयर? यस, 200 minus 196. The mass of the air is 4 grams. Okay. What is the volume of the air? 2000 cm cube. Can you calculate the density? Yes. Density is equals to mass over volume. Bache, what is the mass? 4 grams. What is the volume? 2000 cm cube. Can you calculate the answer? The answer comes out to be 1 second, 0.002 gram per cm cube. Any answers like that? A is your answer. Each diagram shows three forces on a beam. In which situation is it possible for the three forces shown to be in equilibrium? बेटा इक्विलिब्रियम के लिए दो कंडीशंस होती हैं. Your resultant force should be equal to 0 and your resultant moment should be equal to 0. इक्विलिब्रियम के लिए हमेशा दो कंडीशंस होती हैं. योर रिजल्टेंट फोर्स शुड बी इक्वल टू 0, योर रिजल्टेंट मोमेंट शुड बी इक्वल टू 0. परफेक्ट. नाउ लेट्स एनालाइज ऑप्शन. कौन सा ऑप्शन एनालाइज करें? वी कैन एनालाइज एनी ऑफ द ऑप्शन. लेट्स एनालाइज. लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ ऑप्शन ए. लेट्स से दिस इज योर पिवट. लेट मी टेक दिस एज माई पिवट. Any force passing through the pivot will generate a moment of 0. This force generates a moment of 0. This force generates a clockwise moment. This force also generates a clockwise moment. Can you realize there are no anti-clockwise moment in option A to balance out the clockwise moments? Hence, resultant moment is not equal to 0. Option A cannot be my answer. Let's try out option B. Let's say this is your pivot. Okay. This force will turn the rod in the anti-clockwise direction. This force will also turn the rod in the anti-clockwise direction. There are no clockwise movement. Resultant moment is not equal to 0. B भी आपका ऑप्शन नहीं है. अब सी को देख लेते हैं. सी में let's take this as your pivot. Can you realize there is only one force which will turn you in the anti-clockwise direction? There are no clockwise movements. C भी cancel कर दो. Let's look at option D. Let's take this as your pivot. The force passing through the pivot generates a moment of 0. Perfect. This force will generate an anti-clockwise moment. This force will generate a clockwise moment. The resultant moment is 0. Resultant force is also 0 in option D. Upward direction में two forces हैं, two small forces हैं. Downward direction में you have one large force. The resultant force is also 0 in option D. D is in equilibrium. Let's further move ahead. A gymnast jumps down from a high piece of apparatus. She gradually bends her knees as she lands. What effects does this have? Can you realize? Can you realize what effect will it have if she gradually bends her knee as she lands? देखो बेटा, force is equals to what? Change in momentum over change in time. If you gradually bend your knee, what will happen? The impact time, or you can say the time of contact, will increase. As the contact time or the time of collision increases, the impact force decreases. She will experience a smaller force from the ground as she lands. D is your answer. The table gives four energy sources and state whether the main source of energy for the resource is sun. Which row is correct? जियोथर्मल का एनर्जी रिसोर्स सन है? नो. ऑयल का एनर्जी रिसोर्स सन है, बट यहां पे नो लिखा हुआ है, वी क्रॉस इट आउट. वाटर बिहाइंड अ डैम, इसका मेन एनर्जी सोर्स सन है? यस. सी इज योर आंसर. ऑलवेज रिमेंबर, हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिक एनर्जी और वाटर बिहाइंड अ डैम की एनर्जी जो है वो सन से डिपेंडेंट होती है. दैट्स वाई सी इज योर आंसर. The equation change in pressure is equals to rho g change in height can be used for a liquid. What is the meaning of the term rho? Rho is the density of the liquid. B is your answer. What are the correct terms for each change of state? If you are going from liquid to gas, you are solidification undergo कर रहे हो. B और D cancel out हो गया. If you are going from liquid to gas, अगर आप liquid से gas जा रहे हो तो क्या हो रहा है? Evaporation. C is your answer. Perfect. Let's further move ahead. हाँ, 9 का आंसर सी है. Extremely small pollen grains in water are viewed through a microscope. The grains are seen to move continually and randomly. What is the reason for this random movement? What is the reason for the random movement of grains? The grains are moved by randomly moving water molecules. A is correct. Grains randomly क्यों move कर रही हैं? Because they are hit by randomly moving water molecules. Which graph shows how the volume of a fixed mass of gas varies with pressure? Always remember, volume and pressure are inversely proportional. This is the graph of inverse proportionality. D is your answer. Okay, let's see question number 12. What effect is caused by thermal expansion? A metal surface heating up in direct sunlight? No. Ice cream melting on a hot day? No. A railway track buckling up on a hot day? Yes, C is your answer. If there is buckling in your railway track, that is probably caused by thermal expansion. The temperature of the water at the bottom of a waterfall is greater than the temperature at the top. Okay. The change in the gravitational potential energy stored of the water at the top is transferred to the thermal energy at the bottom. Perfect. The specific heat capacity of water is this. Perfect. What is the temperature difference for a waterfall of height 21 meters. So let me draw it. I think if I draw it, it will become much more clearer. This is the top of the waterfall. This is the bottom of the waterfall. Perfect. The gravitational potential energy at the top gets converted into thermal energy at the bottom. So can you write it like this? Gravitational potential energy at the top is equals to the thermal energy at the bottom. ग्रेविटेशनल पोटेंशियल एनर्जी का क्या फॉर्मूला होगा? mgh. थर्मल एनर्जी का क्या फॉर्मूला होगा? mc delta t. Mass cancel out. Do you have the gravitational field? Is in 9.8. What is your height? 21. What is your specific heat capacity? 4200. What does your change in temperature comes out to be, beta? Change in temperature क्या आ जाता है? 9.8 into 21 divided by 4200. Change in temperature 0.049 degrees centigrade is your change in temperature. B is your answer to question number 13. Simple. Let's further move ahead. An ice cube is placed in a beaker and is heated. The ice melts to form water, which evaporates at first and then boils. Okay. The steam condenses on a cold window in the room. Which process involves a transfer of energy from the ice, water or steam to the surrounding? अच्छा जी, कौन सा ऐसा प्रोसेस है जिसमें हीट इमिट आउट हो रही है? मेल्टिंग में तो आपको हीट प्रोवाइड करनी होती है. नो, दैट्स इनकरेक्ट. बॉइलिंग में भी आपको हीट प्रोवाइड करनी होती है. एवेपोरेशन में भी यू ऑल्सो हैव टू प्रोवाइड हीट. कंडेंसेशन ऐसा प्रोसेस है जिसमें योर गैस गेट्स कन्वर्टेड इनटू अ लिक्विड and heat is released. 14 का answer becomes D. Let's further move ahead. A teacher shows his class a polystyrene cup. The polystyrene is a thick plastic with lots of tiny air bubbles in it. He asks the class why the cup is so good at keeping a hot drink warm. 3 suggestions are made. भाई ये ग्लास जो है वो कॉफ़ी को या टी को हॉट क्यों रखता है? It contains air which is a poor thermal conductor. Yeah, that's good. The air trapped in tiny bubbles, so very little convection is possible. That's also a good reason. Plastic of the polystyrene cup is a poor thermal conductor. That's also a good reason. A is your answer. Let's move ahead. Two samples of the same material have the same mass but different surface areas. Okay. Each sample is heated to the same temperature and then left to cool to room temperature. Each sample is allowed to cool to the same final temperature. Which row correctly compares the decrease in internal energy and the initial rate of cooling for each sample? Beta, can you realize both of them have the same initial temperature and the same final temperature? If your initial temperature and final temperature are same, that means what? अगर आपका initial और final temperature same है, that means what? X and Y lose the same quantity of energy. A and B gets cancelled out. Also, can you realize Y has a larger surface area? That means Y cools down faster than X initially. D is your answer. Simple. आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. Now let's see this. In which type of wave is the direction of vibration parallel to the direction of wave travel? कौन सी wave longitudinal है? Seismic P waves. Waves in a ripple tank are diffracted as they pass through a narrow gap. What can be done to make the spreading due to diffraction greater? Diffraction increase किस तरह कर सकते हैं? Decrease the frequency. If you decrease the frequency, what will happen? Wavelength increases. If the wavelength increases, what will happen? Diffraction increases. 18 का answer is A. In the first try, we got the correct answer. Diagram 1 shows the page of a book in front of a plane mirror. An eye is looking at the image of the page. Diagram 2 shows a large letter G on the page facing the mirror. ठीक है, ये आपका पेज पे ऐसे G लिखा हुआ है. Whenever योर इमेज इन द मिरर इज फॉर्म्ड, व्हाट हैपेंस? पूरा का पूरा जी फ्लिप हो जाएगा। बेटा जब भी आप मिरर में कोई इमेज फॉर्मेशन देखते हो तो क्या होगा, पूरा का पूरा जी फ्लिप हो जाएगा लाइक दिस। इट विल गेट लैटरली इन्वर्टेड। ठीक है, आपकी ये जो राइट साइड है वो लेफ्ट पे आ जाएगी, देखो राइट साइड लेफ्ट पे आ गई, लेफ्ट साइड राइट पे चली गई। सो या एनी ऑप्शन लाइक दैट, डी इज योर आंसर। अच्छा जी, द डायग्राम shows a ray of light passing from air into diamond. What is the refractive index of diamond? Easy peasy. First of all, make a normal here. Can you realize diamond is the second medium? Whenever you have to calculate the refractive index of the second medium, which formula do you apply? Sine I over sine R. Easy peasy. First of all, can you calculate the angle of incidence? This is your angle of incidence. How will you calculate that? The total angle is 90. You have to calculate I. 90 is equals to 60 plus I. I is equals to 30. How will you calculate your angle of refraction R? Very easy. This entire thing is 90. 90 is equals to R plus 78. R क्या आ जाएगा? 12 degree. Can you calculate the refractive index? Yes, sine of 30 divided by sine of 12. Refractive index निकालो बेटा, क्या आता है? Sine of 30 divided by sine of 12. Your answer comes out to be 2.41. Oh, sorry, C is your answer, not D. 2.41 C is your answer. Perfect. Let's further move ahead. अच्छा जी, which row describes the image produced? कैन यू रियलाइज डायग्राम वन में आपकी ऑब्जेक्ट और इमेज सेम साइड पे है। इफ योर ऑब्जेक्ट इज ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड ऑफ द लेंस, image is also on the left hand side of the lens, the image will be virtual. A and B gets cancelled out. डायग्राम टू को देखो, ऑब्जेक्ट कहाँ है, लेफ्ट साइड पे, इमेज कहाँ है बेटा, राइट साइड पे। इफ द ऑब्जेक्ट एंड इमेज आर ऑन ऑपोजिट साइड, द इमेज इज रियल। सी इज योर आंसर। Perfect. Let's further move ahead. White light enters a glass prism. The light leaving the other side of the prism is separated into colors. Okay. Which row correctly describe what happens? ठीक है बेटा, कौन सी डायग्राम करेक्ट है इनमें से? डायग्राम टू, बिकॉज द वेव starts to break down in its component here. जैसे ही व्हाइट लाइट प्रिज्म को एंटर करती है वो ब्रेक डाउन होना शुरू हो जाती है इनटू इट कंपोनेंट। तो पार्ट टेकन बाय लाइट किस में सही बताया हुआ? डायग्राम टू में। ए और बी कैंसिल आउट। ऑल्सो डू यू रियलाइज रेड लाइट क्या करती है? बेंड लीस्ट। सो कलर वन इज व्हाट? रेड। कलर टू विल बी वॉयलेट। सी इज योर आंसर। Thermal radiation is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. What is the name of the region of this spectrum? थर्मल रेडिएशन कौन से रीजन में है इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक स्पेक्ट्रम के? इंफ्रारेड। बी इज योर आंसर। लेट्स सी दिस। A remote control vehicle is traveling on the surface of a planet. The vehicle senses an obstacle ahead. It sends a radio message to the control room from where it is being controlled. The control room is 2.4 into 10 raised to the power of 6 kilometers away from the vehicle. The control room sends a message back to the vehicle telling it to stop. अच्छा जी, तो बेसिकली आपकी जो कार है वो रेडियो वेव्स भेज रही है at a distance of this. Let's say this is your car, this is your control room. तो सिग्नल जा रहा है पहले like this. Signal is going towards the control room like this. 2.4 10 raised to the power of 6 kilometer. Then it is coming back towards the car. 2.4 10 raised to the power of 6 kilometer. Perfect. ठीक है. The control room ठीक है. What is the minimum time that elapses between the vehicle sensing the obstacle and receiving the message back from the control room? Okay, okay, very easy. First of all, can you realize total distance क्या हो जाएगा? The total distance will be 2 times 2.4, 10 is to the power of 6 kilometer. What does this comes out to be? 4.8, 10 is to the power of 6 kilometer. किलो की जगह क्या लगा देंगे? 10 is to the power of 3. 10 is to the power of 3 meters. This comes out to be 4.8, 10 is to the power of 9 meters. Now I want you to look closely. हम क्या सेंड कर रहे हैं? रेडियो मैसेज. रेडियो वेव्स आर इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव्स. इलेक्ट्रोमैग्नेटिक वेव्स की स्पीड क्या होती है? 3 into 10 is the power of 8 meters per second. You have the speed. You have the distance. Can you calculate the time? Yes, time is equals to what? Distance divided by speed. What does your answer comes out to be? 4.8, 10 is to the power of 9 divided by 3 into 10 is to the power of 8. आंसर आ गया 16 seconds. D is your answer. Which statement, ठीक है, ये बात समझ आई. 2 times of हमने डिस्टेंस किया बिकॉज द रेडियो सिग्नल इज गोइंग एंड कमिंग बैक. रेडियो सिग्नल की स्पीड क्या होती है? 3 into 10 is to the power of 8. डिवाइड करो, टाइम आ जाएगा. Which statement about the direction of a magnetic field at a point is correct? Which statement about the direction of magnetic field at a point is correct? Magnetic field is basically what? Direction of force on a north pole placed at that point. 25 का answer is A. A student draws a graph of an AC supply and a DC supply. Which row shows the correct label for WXY? W क्या है? वोल्टेज का एक्सेस. A B कैंसिल आउट. X क्या है? DC सप्लाई. सो है कोई ऑप्शन? या X is your DC supply, V is your AC supply. सर हाउ डू यू नो X is DC supply? क्योंकि X का वोल्टेज कांस्टेंट रह रहा है. दैट्स व्हाई इट्स अ DC supply. सिंपल. लेट्स फर्दर मूव अहेड. A resistor transfers 100 joules of energy when a charge of 10 coulomb flows through it. What is the potential difference? Voltage is equals to work done over charge. Work done क्या है? 100 joules. Charge क्या है? 10. डिवाइड कर दो बेटा. 10 volts comes out to be your voltage. 27 का आंसर comes out to be V. आगे बढ़ते हैं. अच्छा जी, let's see question number 28. Wire X and Y are made from the same metal. The table gives information about the two wires. What is the resistance of wire Y? You have to calculate the resistance of wire Y. Perfect. Can you realize wire X की लेंथ क्या है? 1. वायर Y की लेंथ क्या है? 1.3. That means what is happening? लेंथ क्या हो रही है? 1.3 times हो रही है. Let me do it here. Wire Y, wire X. वायर X की लेंथ 1 है, वायर Y की लेंथ 1.3 है. Your length is increasing by a factor of 1.3. Now we know resistance is directly proportional to length. तो अगर आपकी लेंथ 1.3 के फैक्टर से बड़ी है तो रेजिस्टेंस भी 1.3 के फैक्टर से बढ़ जाएगी बेटा. इनिशियल रेजिस्टेंस अगर 2 है तो अब क्या हो जाएगी? 1.3 into 2, that is 2.6 ohms. The story is not finished. What about area, sir? Can you realize X का area is 0.4, Y का area is what? 0.3. By what factor has the area increased? 0.3 divided by 0.4 is equals to 3 over 4. So area has increased by a factor of what? 3 into 4. क्या आपको ये बात याद है? Resistance is inversely proportional to area. अगर एरिया 3 over 4 के फैक्टर से इंक्रीज हुआ है, your resistance will increase by an inverse factor 4 over 3. रेजिस्टेंस अगर R थी तो अब वो 4 over 3R हो जाएगी. रेजिस्टेंस was 2.6. Now it will become 4 over 3 into 2.6. Can you calculate this? Lovely little answer. I think the answer comes out to be 3.5 ohms. 28 का आंसर is D. Simple. आगे बढ़ते हैं बेटा. Let's move ahead. 29 पे आ जाओ. The diagram shows two resistors used as a potential divider. The reading on the voltmeter is 1.8. Okay, so the reading on the voltmeter is 1.8. What is the resistance of resistor R? You have to calculate the resistance of resistor R. How will you do that? Do you remember the voltage divider rule? Beta voltage divider rule याद है? If you want the voltage across any component, you take the resistance of that component divided by the total resistance multiplied by the total voltage. You know कि voltage क्या आ रही है 1.8 divided by like this. Take it to the other side. अच्छा वर्किंग की जगह हमारे पास थोड़ी सी लिमिटेड है. So what I am going to do is I am going to take this, shrink this up, keep it here. ठीक है. So now what will we do? We will bring 3 to the other side. 3 को दूसरी साइड पे ले जाओ बेटा. 1.8 divided by 3 is equals to R over R plus 5. ये क्या हो जाएगा? 1.8 divided by 3 क्या हो जाएगा बेटा? 0.6. 0.6 is equals to R over R plus 5. Multiply it. R plus 5 into 0.6 is equals to R. Calculate करो. 0.6 R plus 3 is equals to R. R को दूसरी साइड पर ले जाओ. 3 is equals to 0.4 R. 3 divided by 0.4. R is equals to 7.5 kilo ohms. C is your answer to 29. तो ये थोड़े से कंसेक्यूटिव सवाल ऐसे थे जिनमें हेवी वर्किंग करनी थी. Two electrical appliances are connected to the main supply. Okay, the cable connected to one appliance includes an earth wire. The cable connected to the second appliance does not need an earth wire. अच्छा जी, second appliance को earth wire की ज़रूरत नहीं है. What is the reason for this difference? One appliance has a metal case, but the other appliance does not have a metal case. Yeah, that's correct. जब भी आपकी अप्लायंस के पास मेटल केस होता है यू फॉर श्योर नीड एन अर्थ वायर. अच्छा जी, लेट्स सी दिस. द डायग्राम शोज अ सिंपल एसी जनरेटर. द मैग्नेट रोटेट्स अबाउट अ फिक्स कॉइल wound around a fixed iron core. The electromotive force output is a sine wave. A series of crest zeros and tips are formed. The magnet is shown in three positions P, Q, R during its rotation. The magnetic field in the coil is zero at Q but changing most rapidly. ठीक है. The magnetic field in the coil is zero at Q. गौर से पढ़ो. If the magnetic field here is zero, what does this mean? हाँ जी. If the magnetic field at Q is 0, that means the EMF at position Q will be 0. B is your answer. A 24 volt power supply and a 100% efficient transformer are used to light 6 volt 12 volt lamp. What is the current in the power supply? Okay. So you have to calculate the current in the power supply. How are you going to do that? Very, very easy. First of all, do you realize कि अगर आपके लैंप की पावर 12 वोल्ट्स है तो पावर सप्लाई की पावर भी 12 वोल्ट्स हो जाएगी बिकॉज पावर रिमेन्स कांस्टेंट. P इज इक्वल टू आई वी. पावर क्या है 12. आई हमने निकालना है. व्हाट इज योर वोल्टेज 24. आई कम्स आउट टू बी 0.5 एम्पेयर. A is your answer 232. Always remember your power remains constant whether in a power supply or a lamp. The scattering of particles by a thin gold shield provided scientists with evidence for the nuclear atom. Which particles were scattered? Alpha particles. How easy can a question be? A nucleus X has 17 protons, 18 neutrons. Which notation is correct for this nucleus? कौन सी notation correct है for this nucleus? If you have 17 protons, the bottom side number should be 17. A and B gets cancelled out. आपके पास 18 न्यूट्रॉन्स हैं तो मास नंबर क्या होना चाहिए 17 प्लस 18 दैट इज 35 Proton number वही 17. D is your answer. Okay, let's see this. The dash line on the graph shows decay curve recorded from a sample of a particular radioactive isotope. The count rate includes background radiation. अच्छा जी, ये वाला जो count rate का curve है वो background radiation include कर रहा है. Which curve shows the corrected count rate for this decay? बेटा अगर आप बैकग्राउंड काउंट रेट को एडजस्ट करोगे तो आपका पूरा का पूरा कर्व बैकवर्ड शिफ्ट हो जाएगा. बी इज योर आंसर. बैकग्राउंड काउंट रेट के लिए जब आप एडजस्ट करते हो तो क्या करते हो, बैकग्राउंड रेडिएशन माइनस करते हो. दैट्स व्हाई द एंटायर कर्व शिफ्ट्स बैकवर्ड. Which type of radioactive source is suitable for use in measuring and controlling the thickness of paper in a paper manufacturing factory? हमेशा याद रखो पेपर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैक्ट्री में बीटा यूज होता है. ए बी कैंसिल आउट and the half life should be long. C is your answer. Okay. What is the half life of the source? You are starting at 10,000 और आपका काउंट रेट हाफ 5,000 हो जाएगा. What time is this taking? 2 minutes. 2 minutes is your half life. 37 का आंसर is A. The earth orbits the sun once in 365 days. The average radius of the orbit is this. What is the orbital speed of earth? V is equals to 2 pi r over capital T. 2 pi, what is r? 1.510 is the power of 11. What is your time? 365 days. 365 into 24 hours in each day. 60 minutes in each hour. 60 seconds in each minute. What does your orbital speed comes out to be? 3 into 10 is the power of 4 meters per second. 38 ka answer is A. Which statement about the life cycle of a star is correct? All stars eventually run out of hydrogen. Yeah, that's correct. अच्छा जी, अब क्या लिखा हुआ है? A galaxy is at a distance of this, ये D आ गया. Is moving away from Earth at a distance of this, ये आपकी V आ गई. Okay. Can you calculate H naught? Yes, V is equals to H naught D. V क्या है? 7,000 किलोमीटर पर सेकेंड. Let's keep it like that. एच नॉट हमने निकालना है. डी क्या है? 3.1 10 इज द पावर ऑफ 21. कैन यू रियलाइज आई हैवंट कन्वर्टेड किलोमीटर इनटू मीटर? व्हाई? क्योंकि दोनों डिस्टेंस और वेलोसिटी दोनों किलोमीटर हैं. दैट डजंट मैटर. दैट्स व्हाई आई हैवंट कन्वर्टेड किलोमीटर इनटू मीटर, बिकॉज डिस्टेंस और वेलोसिटी दोनों किलोमीटर में. कैन यू कैलकुलेट एच नॉट बेटा? एच नॉट की वैल्यू क्या आ रही है? 3.1 10 is the power of 21. H naught comes out to be 2.3 10 is the power of minus 18. Yeah. तो ऑप्शन सी और डी कैंसिल आउट हो जाएगा. Now you have to calculate the speed of the galaxy that is at a distance of 6.2 into 10 is the power of 12 kilometer away from Earth. How will we do that? V is equals to H naught D. H naught की वैल्यू क्या है? 2.3 10 is the power of minus 18. अच्छा जी, डिस्टेंस क्या है? 6.2 10 is the power of 21. We will keep the distance in kilometer because we want the velocity in kilometers. So 6.2 10 is the power of 21. The answer comes out to be 14,000. B is your answer. This marks the end of this paper. If you have any questions, you can ask in the comments below.